Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Mike Haspil, and Wyatt Turk from Jacket Club Spain. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Hey, everybody.
What's up?
So we're back. It's been a busy 40K week. Got some FAQs, got some erratas. Been exciting Slaughterfest weekend. We had coverage out on all the tubes. Shotgun blast of coverage.
That's true.
Haspil hobby this weekend.
I did hobby. Yep.
Now, when you say all the tubes, were we simulcasting to RedTube as well?
Always.
I don't know what that is.
The Hobo Tube.
You said all the tubes.
All of them.
I don't look up any of my tutorials on RedTube. You won't be what you think.
Yeah, but that's where I watch your videos.
Strictly over the pants tutorials. So we're back. We had a great weekend. Slaughterfest 2019, like Rob said. Big shout out to Veteran Gamers Reenlisted and Enigma Hobbies for putting that event on.
It looked awesome.
I'll put this out there first, that they raised, I think they said something like in the $2,000 category for Jeff Robinson's family. And I know a few other events are going to continue to do that this year. So that was a big win. It was amazing. They did have a memorial table. A lot of people were able to hang out, talk, swap stories. But at the end of the day, everyone came to play 40K, play a hard, just like Jeff would have. And it was an amazing event with over, I think, 108 people registered, 100 players on the day. For the first year of an event, that is unprecedented, I think.
It definitely got a lot of exposure. It's hard to, if you look back at all the events out there, even Adepticon, a lot of them started out regionally with not that many people. That's pretty remarkable. That's, kudos to Robert and all the gang at Veteran Realistic Podcast for making it work. I wish it was just down the street. I wish I could just hop in my car and drive by the other 50 people texting each other and just wave at them as I drove to the event, but I'll probably never make it.
It's nice to do it. So obviously me and Wyatt Turk and a couple of our other friends out here in Hollywood showed up. Wyatt flying all the way in from Texas to kick it. We shared a bed together in our suite. And when I say suite, I mean just standard hotel room, but it felt like a suite.
That price felt like a suite.
That price felt like a suite.
Uh-oh.
Goddamn Christian K-pop group driving the rates up.
Yep, it was brutal. Not only was it a K-pop concert, Haspil was like Christian K-pop. I really wanted a ticket because I felt like it's a once in a lifetime.
That takes the fun out of K-pop, though. A little bit, I feel.
Maybe.
I'm confused.
It was fully sold out, and therefore the hotel rates were heinous, unfortunately. And I think next year they'll be able to avoid that. And somebody in chat asked, what about the bourbon? We did drink. This is what's left of the bourbon. I had 2 glasses during today's show. Oh. It was just me and Wyatt basically crushing this all weekend.
What do you got? Bullet?
It's Bullet. Economically priced. We got
good bourbon.
We drank a bunch, played a bunch of games. But at the end of the day, that's not what you guys came here for. Do you have a would you rather for us, Wyatt?
Oh, yeah. Of course I do. Yeah. All right. Would you rather sustain all of your nourishment by eating toenails, or be able to eat whatever you want but lose all control over your beehole forever?
What if you have already lost all control over your beehole forever?
I feel like that's not 100% accurate.
It's not whatever control you think you've lost is nothing to this.
Yeah, you basically be like a bird and would no longer have a ring muscle. So anything, it's just going to slide right out of there.
So
I'm very close to that.
I feel like I blew my O-ring out last year, but it did grow back. So I can see your point now. So yeah, important questions in the chat. Wyatt, whose toenails?
Just random toenails. Mystery.
Like, is the genie just snapping his fingers and it's like medically curated, like genetic clone
No, it's
toenails?
just a plate of random ass toenails.
Or is it
Bruh.
like just random collection of toenails from all fathoms of the corners of the earth just show up on a plate?
Second, that one.
All right. So human toenails could be anybody. Long ship lofts, like definitely toenails, no question.
Oh,
Okay,
Wow.
now when you say I lose the control over my beehole, is it like at all times, or is it like rolling the dice? Like I might have a
Nope,
good
it's-
beehole day.
It's just at all times. The autonomic function of your digestive tract is just going to continuously push stuff out of there.
Oh shit, that's whew. But toenails. But so are we talking about all medical negatives of eating toenails is still in effect here?
Can
Like,
I mean, they're toenails. They're going to be toenails and taste like whatever toenails taste.
but like it will literally sustain me. Like I'm not
For good or
gonna.
ill, but yes, it will magically sustain. you.
Okay, so it will genie magic sustain me.
But you have to eat like a comparable amount of toenails to the amount of food that you would normally eat.
And I don't have to forage for these toenails, right? They just show
No,
up.
yeah, just toenail loot box or
What's-
butcher box,
fuck.
whatever that
Standard
is.
genie.
Yeah,
I got
Grubhub for toenails.
it. Got
what
it.
about what about the poops? Can you wear a diaper?
Yeah, I mean,
course.
that's just like the condition is that you just lose. You have no more O-ring.
My choice is easy.
He's just gonna wear a diaper.
I mean, I was wondering. I'm like, was that a fart or was that? And now I'll just know.
Okay, yes, guilty of nails is a great question. That was my next question. Am I allowed to explore toenail recipes that are with like seasonings, like that are not also food, like salt and pepper, or is it? Can I boil them to soften them up? Am I allowed to go gourmet on these toenails, or does it just have to be a plate of crunchy ass toenails?
A plate of crunchy ass toenails. Like you gotta eat them as is.
Now, do we have a caloric value for what a spoonful of toenails is?
It's by weight. It's by weight. So you have to consume the same volume of toenails that you consume volume of food.
So, like, if it's like a sandwich that I eat and I'm gonna feel satisfied and nourished, it has to be like roughly that amount of toenails too.
Yes, by weight.
oh,
All right,
No.
you guys gonna weigh in? What are you guys picking?
Nah,
beehole. Not even
Yeah.
a contest.
yeah,
Not
I
even a
lost all
contest.
control of my beehole for the most part, regardless. So I feel like that's just where we're at.
Yeah.
Okay, before I pick, if I'm at a restaurant, they're gonna have toenails on the menu magically because of genie magic.
Yes.
Can I still drink liquor? I'm not allowed to
course.
drink.
I mean, like you don't drink liquor for nourishment. We don't drink
I do.
soda for nourishment or
Mhm.
energy drinks or coffee.
So I can still have toenails. I'm picking toenails. I just can't lose. I'm just not there yet. Like with my beehole, like that.
Good Lord.
This is human toenails only, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll eat toenails.
Oh man, no.
I'll eat a sandwich worth of toenails twice a day. Like English muffins worth of toenails for breakfast with my coffee. Like probably I'll switch it up to like a salad's worth of toenails for dinner. I'll just switch my diet up to like, no, I'm having a salad for dinner. Let me ask you, do I get like the same nutritional value of like what I feel like I'm eating? Like, or is it just like high cholesterol toenails all the time? Or is it just,
I would say it's a balanced meal.
all right, toenails are a balanced meal. Yeah, I'm fine with this. Actually, I think I'll lose weight and get in shape.
yeah.
I'm with it.
Yeah.
Like,
You
I'll
have
see.
to be able to stomach the taste of human toenails and foot fungus and all that.
Yeah, I got it. I'm with it. Toenails. Too easy. This is an easy one. Give me a hard one next time.
Dude.
I mean,
What would
Don't,
what would you pick?
I don't pick. I am the genie.
Wow,
Harper.
you're a Dijin is what you are, sir.
Here's a
That's it. We went over this.
Wishmaster over here.
I am all of you got homework. Watch Wishmaster. Everybody in the chat, go rent Wishmaster on Amazon Prime and watch that shit.
Got it. Rob, do some content for us while I eat this plate of toenails.
Well, I'm gonna have to do it quick because I'm about to blow up my beehole again. Let's see. Going on pre-order this week from Games Workshop, we've got 4 of the Warcry warbands. Which is that the right math?
Yep.
Why? Because wasn't there? We've seen 8 preview.
No, we haven't. We've seen the only ones that we've seen preview are out. In the rule book, there are 2 more that we have not seen any pictures of, and there are no pictures of them in the rule book either.
There's just the symbols.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So I thought they weren't on here. So we've got the 4 remaining: Corvus Cabal, the Unmade, the Splinter Fang, and then the 3 remaining. That makes more sense because
the sneaky boys with the fans and stuff are coming out on Saturday.
Cypher Lords come out this week, and then we got the 2 in the box. So that is 6. Also coming out is the Shattered Storm Vault, which is another set of terrain. The terrain is $90. The warbands are $50 each. Those will all go on pre-order this week. New Primarch's novel, Conrad Kurz, The Night Haunter, for $19. That's the hardback, so you already had the limited edition version of it. And then for Necromunda, you got the Palatine Enforcer Patrol at $42 for 10 dudes.
Oh, yeah. I'm hyped for the Enforcers.
Yeah, a lot of people, I think, are definitely looking forward to them.
I'm probably going to pick them up, too.
They look dope. Like,
they're so cool.
Some year, I'm going to get to play Necromunda, and I'm going to want my Enforcers.
Mm-hmm. There's also the Book of Judgment, which I imagine would have some rules for them and some other stuff in it. $47. Enforcer Patrol Dice Set and Enforcer Tactics card packs, both $15. Then for Necromunda in general, some web store exclusives. Intrigues and Rackets card pack for $27. Must be a lot of those. Dramatis Personae, which are like characters and stuff like Hell Jericho and things, $15. And Underdog card pack for $15 as well. Those are direct order. So kind of a mixed bag from G-Dub. Of course, they're going to do some previews. We'll see. Probably by the time you're hearing this, there'll already be a preview popping off on the internet, and then another one this weekend, Saturday, for one of the large Warhammer Apocalypse games that are happening over at Warhammer World. Think it'll be some Marines. That'll be really cool to see. Now, contrast restocks are coming in. So if you were unable to get any of the contrast colors that you wanted to try out and didn't want to pay like super big money on the secondary market, a lot of the primer and a lot of paint pots of the primer colors are coming back in stock again. So pretty much should be able to get everything you need right about meow if you're trying to jump on that contrast train. So that's pretty cool to see. Then we've got some other stuff coming out on the FFG tabletop side of things. The Super Star Destroyer for Armada is finally hitting. I think it was 6 months delayed, give or take. That is $199 retail. And it's like this big. Like, it's wider than my body. They carried it out onto the stage at Gen Con last year with 2 hands.
Wow.
So that will be really interesting to see. For Star Wars Legion, the 2-pack of Tauntauns, know that you cannot cut open their belly and stick figures inside, unfortunately. But
they smell bad.
Deal breaker.
I know. That was the first thing.
They come with a Tauntaun scratch and sniff card, so you can tell how bad they smell.
Nope, I don't think so. None of that. Maybe it'll be a playset, like a Wampa playset in the near future. Who knows? And the Rebel Veteran box set, they're all Hoss troopers with the thermal padding kind of outfits you remember from Empire Strikes Back. Those are both $24.95. They come out this week at your friendly local game store or online. You can always scoop up this stuff from our friends at Miniature Market. Also at Miniature Market and probably some game stores around the world, Parabellum's Conquest. You might have remembered that's been kind of around for about a year or so now. Those big giant displays that they had them at Adepticon. They had them at Gen Con last year. I get this the big rollout. It's hitting stores. The starter set is $85 retail. So it's kind of like it's rank and file fantasy with round bases and movement trays. So very similar to like War of the Ring, if you're familiar with that.
It's also a different scale. It's like a 38 millimeter scale or something.
It's slightly bigger, yeah.
So like War Gods, maybe.
It looks cool. I've seen some of the sprues, pictures of the sprues, not up close. Kind of not sure on the detail.
I have some sprues for that, and not great.
Not great. Uh-oh. Okay. Like I said, I was concerned. I seen some pictures and I was like, ooh, I don't know. Got to get those in my hot little hands. But anyways,
their displays look really cool. But I mean, like, fucking everything looks cool when you pay Angel Heraldez's studio to paint it for you.
Yes.
But
yes,
I can tell you from them giving me a sprue at Adepticon, it's not great.
They yeah, I don't know. I haven't checked it out for myself, but their displays look great. But if you do want to check it out, you can scoop up the box set for $85 for a box. Doesn't seem too bad. Don't know yet, but that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, it's not a deal breaker for me. It's not a, hey, the starter's $170. You know what I mean? Going on pre-order. What is it? Going on pre-order this Friday is the new knights, the new little, what do they call them? Morax. What's the new one? The little Helverns, the Morax. Yeah, the Morax knights from Forge World. And they're $60 US. It doesn't seem expensive to me. I don't know why for what you're getting. Anybody else?
For a Forge World item, that's actually quite nice.
The Forge World dollars, that is free.
Yeah.
Forge World is free.
I actually saw there's a Tech Priest Engine Seer on Forge World that's like $7 cheaper than the plastic one from Games Workshop.
Isn't that the Titan one? The one that's for the Titan?
Yeah, but he's for all intents and purposes an engine priest. Like, he looks almost the same loadout as the one that Games Workshop sells, but it's cheaper for some reason.
Well, there's always been a lot of that with the arbitrage, the conversion rates and things. There was a time when it was the broadsides, when they were pewter for Tau, it was actually almost the same price to buy the reimagined ones with the underslung rail rifles from Forge World that looked dope AF for about the same price. So there's always those little nuances that they might not realize. And if you haven't heard, the Games Workshop financials came out on Tuesday, the 30th. Surprise, surprise, they're still doing well. They had a record year. So kudos. I don't think anybody was surprised by that. As a matter of fact, I could tell because I was watching the traffic on the post and nobody seemed to care. But we broke down the article or their financials as best we could without putting a whole lot of time into it because we're not financeologists. But what you could note was that over the past 2 years, their gross sales are up 100 million pounds, which is pretty impressive. But when you break down the year to year, the first year was about 70. The second year was about 30. So they actually grew half as much as they did last year to this year than they did 2017 to 2018, which, remember, 2017, super big with 40K, getting rebooted to 8. And then this year, I guess you could say Age of Sigmar 2.0 came out a year ago-ish right now. Mm-hmm. So not sure what the indicators are right there, although I am hearing big sales with the contrast racks, Apocalypse sets. They might already be off to another record year already, but that's easy to do when you make stores buy $4,000 paint racks. But either way, there's a lot of good metrics in there. Some stuff is flat, some stuff is gained, but they definitely recognize a lot of the problems that they are going to be faced with or are being faced with right now, i.e. supply chains, and looking to, stay one step ahead of the game. So it doesn't look like they're getting caught getting served mashed potatoes on the toilet, if you know what I mean.
One thing I was thinking of along those lines is and I'm sure they've thought of this, but they need to get in on the ground floor of this second age Amazon Lord of the Rings series. If they can do that and do, Dunedain and Numenorians and,
well, the question becomes kind of how much of that series is New Line involved in?
No, it's not New Line at all. That's why I'm saying like GW needs to secure those rights. They need to re-secure because this is not New Line at all. This is this is the Tolkien estate and it's limited just to the second age. But that brings you up to the Last Alliance of Men and Elves. So it would marry directly up with their current line. I
feel like
just the thought.
Does that so they can be the exclusive right holders for producing miniatures. Seems like their attitude towards those miniatures is like, well, we have to make something every 2 years or we lose this right. And so miraculously every 2 years they make some kind of big push for Lord of the Rings and like nobody buys it.
Well, the main reason I say this is because when the films were coming out, right, I knew people that did not wargame, weren't in our hobby effectively, right? But bought a voluminous amount of Lord of the Rings minis because they were collecting them for the films, and they would make little dioramas and stuff. They weren't buying armies. They were buying the Fellowship. They were buying, Aragorn at Amon Hen, stuff like that. They were buying and making little collections out of them. And they sold a lot, which granted inflated GW at the time. And then they wound up having to deal with the crash afterwards. But I'm just like, well, this property's sitting out here that marries up to a property you've already got. It's just a thought.
In Monopoly, we call that a monopoly.
Who knows? Maybe they will. I mean, I think you're right that if they want to keep that train going, especially if it's going to be back in the public zeitgeist, they probably should, get their finger in a few pies, so to speak.
Yeah.
Potato pies.
That's the best analogy I've heard tonight.
I liked it. So that's all I got. Oh, no. Battletech Kickstarter. Haspil, you tracking that one?
Ska? Yeah, I have actually heard about that with the clans and everything.
Mm-hmm. I think
clans. Oh, hype.
Ghost Bear.
All day, every day, Ghost Bear.
Yeah. I haven't played tabletop Battletech in ages though. I love the game that's on Steam, that's a fantastic adaptation. It's really, really good, but I haven't played. I would love to get back into some tabletop Battletech, to be very honest.
They ever came out with a Battletech that played as fast as 40K, oh my God, I like 40K.
Well, there is a version called Alpha Strike of Battletech that supposedly allows you to field multiple lances and play it in 2 hours, but I have not actually tried it out.
I've read through the rules of it. I don't think it will go that fast.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people pledged it, so.
Oh no, it's awesome.
I think it's on track to make I don't know. KickTrack said 2.7 or 2.4 million.
Wow.
It's on track.
Yeah, I think it's 1.5 right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's moving quick.
All of the old heads that are I only play up to 3067 are losing their minds right now because of all these people that are the clans have come.
Yep.
Get fucked.
30-50 is when the clans get there. It's 30-49, I think, right? At Twycross with the mercenaries.
I think 3067 is the official clan invasion era.
Okay.
But I might be wrong.
I honestly don't know. I don't remember. I know that 3025 is the old Intersphere stuff for sure.
3025 is the last Succession War.
Yeah. So I'm losing geek points here. I can't even hold my own on Battletech.
Chat says 3050 clan invasion.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Spec Ops confirmed 3050.
Spec Ops would definitely know.
3060.
That's what I'm thinking of. Spec Ops Civil War, because that was Mech Warriors 4, and that was 90% of my video game childhood. Civil War. I could recite the entire opening monologue from memory.
Nice.
So, where are we at in our show notes, Rob?
We are in between mashed potato, potatoes.
I
think
boil
we're
them,
on
mash them, stick
new
them
in the FAQ.
We have new games too.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, yeah. Haspil has those games.
Yeah. So seemingly out of nowhere, but that's only because I didn't know they were coming out.
So seemingly.
So to me, they came out of nowhere. Games Workshop is launching 3 new games that are going to be at select retailers, namely Barnes & Noble in the United States, and I don't know what store in Canada up north, and in Germany, I believe. And they are Stormvault, Dreadfane, and Combat Arena. And these marry up to the 3 games that they'd come out with. I guess it's a year ago. Has it been that long?
It was about
already?
a year ago this time.
About a year ago, they released 3 games that were exclusive at Barnes & Noble. And it was a Blood Bowl kind of called Blitz Bowl, which was a smaller version of Blood Bowl, self-contained version of Blood Bowl, a game that was a co-op game with Space Marines against Necrons called Space Marine Adventures, and then a Lord of the Rings Quest for the Ring type game. The only one I actually played, I bought all 3, but the only one I actually played was the Space Marine Adventures because it's a cooperative game and you could play it alone. And it was actually a lot of fun. And it came with really cool miniatures that were cast in different colors for the Marines. So you didn't have to paint them. And they were each from a different a chapter. So it was really cool. So apparently those games were successful enough that GW is doing it again with these retailers. We have Stormvault. And Stormvault this time is the co-op game. It is an Age of Sigmar game set in the Mortal Realms, pitting some Stormcast Eternal heroes against the forces of chaos. And the models are essentially the war bands from Warhammer Underworlds. You'll recognize if you look at the pictures of it, you'll recognize the miniatures like right away. So that one looks pretty cool. I will definitely be picking that up because I love the co-op games. Allows me to play solo. And so I will definitely be picking that one up. They have a game called Combat Arena, which is on board a ship that's headed towards a Blackstone fortress. And it's almost like a spin-off of Gore Chosen. It's using the same combat rules that Gore Chosen introduced. And if anyone's I don't own Gore Chosen, but I've played it and it is a lot of fun. And there's a lot actually, that Warhammer Underworlds takes from Gore Chosen. So if you're a fan of Warhammer Underworlds and the way that combat works and plays, you might want to check out either Gore Chosen or this Combat Arena game. All these retail for about $50, by the way. And American, I should say, since it's also available in Canada and Germany. And my apologies for not figuring out the currencies there. But this one looks pretty cool, and it has some very unique looking miniatures that are in there. These are not Space Marines. They're just oddball minis and stuff like that are fighting on their way to the Blackstone Fortress, and they look really, really cool. So, and if you're not in the USA, Canada, or Germany, they wanted folks to know that these miniatures that are coming out will be available in an expansion called Blackstone Fortress Escalation that is coming out later this year. And they've been doing really well with the Blackstone Fortress games and the expansions for that. And I need to get some games in on that because I've heard about it and it's so much fun. And last but not least, we have Warhammer Underworld's Dreadfane, which is actually what caught my eye because I was like, wait, I thought you said it was like Beast something was the next thing.
Right.
But no, it's Dreadfane, right? And what Dreadfane is a kind of a standalone introductory version of Warhammer Underworlds, which I'm like, okay, that has me intrigued because each of the box sets so far, we've got Shadespire and Nightvault, have been kind of self-contained introductory versions of Warhammer Underworld. So I'm like, what's different about this one? I don't know. They're going to probably get me to buy it just because I'm a completist. So I got to have it all. And what's interesting comes
Haspil,
with 2 new.
What's that? I'm also a completist.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the thing, right? It's the chip. So this one, what's interesting about it is even though it is like an introductory version of Shadespire or of Warhammer Underworlds, it does come with 2 war bands and the cards are compatible with the greater Warhammer Underworlds. Now they're saying like you should check with your local, organizer to make sure that they're going to allow them to be legal or whatever. But I think it's pretty cool that they're able to still expand this game, add a bunch of different war bands. And this time, I guess the environment messes with you.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to still have magic that they introduced in Night Vault. Now the environment messes with you. And I find it really cool that they're able to keep expanding this game and yet keep all the cards compatible with one another. That is an achievement. That's hard to do. And the miniatures look really cool. As usual. I mean, but that goes without saying with GW now. The miniatures
well,
cool.
Those are two ETB kits that came out with Soul Wars when they rebooted Sigmar last year.
Okay, so they're doing the same thing that they did effectively the last time, where they were using kits that they already had and bundling them with new rules. I mean, it's genius. It's printing money. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'll probably be very honest. I'm probably going to be down $150.
Well, I could see we're getting the Dreadfane. If you play Underworlds, you probably want that. And the other models are coming for Blackstone Fortress, or from wherever it was, Combat Arena or whatever, are coming in Blackstone Fortress with like some Chaos Cultists, some really cool Chaos looking Cultist dudes. So I'm sure a lot of people will pick that one up without the game. And the other ones are already existing warbands in Underworlds and Storm Vault. So
it's just an easy way. I mean, these are good like gift games, I would call them. Somebody's got a birthday coming up or something. It's a great gift game because they stand alone. So it's like, I know my nephew got a couple copies of the games like for Christmas and for his birthday. So Combat Arena, I feel if it's like Gore Chosen, if they really mean it like Gore Chosen, that's a great little like 15 to 20 minute just bang out a game and just have a blast. It's a lot of fun. So I'm hoping it is like Gore Chosen, and I'm going to definitely pick that one up. But those dropped today. The news of them dropped today. And I guess
I think they're out.
Some Barnes & Noble already had them. You can definitely order them online. I swung my Barnes & Noble. They did not have them in stock yet, but they're out. So keep your eyes peeled for them.
They're probably in a snowdrift in Vale.
Not quite. Not right.
Not yet.
Soon.
Say that, but I've been to your state. It could be snowing there right now.
It's possible. Yes.
It legit. I haven't looked out the window in the last 5 minutes. It could be snowing.
It could be hailing for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Rob, is there anything new in the FAQ this week?
Well, there's a cat at my feet. Does that count?
No, it does not.
All right. Well, let's talk about some rules then. She would probably think she counts, though. So lots of stuff, lots of changes, actually. First of all, I'd like to go on the record and say that I called Games Workshop today because I wanted to try to get updated versions of the Imperial Armor books. And I've noticed that the Imperial Armor books that I purchased were from Black Library, and they're no longer available from Black Library. They're all on iOS. So I don't know, at some point they switched over, and I was like, well, crap, I can't update these from Black Library. I wonder if they can do anything for me. And I called them up and I was like, hey, here's my situation. What can you do? And she's like, well, you got to talk to Black Library. And I was like, all right, that's fair. She's like, call during the day. I can patch you over to England for freezies. And I was like, that's solid. I appreciate that. Because who wants to call England on your cell phone? Not me. But she also said that the enhanced versions and the iOS versions of the Apple books, they don't update the points. Like, she's like, we don't update the points. Only chapter approves. You got to get chapter approves to get that. But we update the rules like the erratas and stuff. Not FAQs. We don't put the FAQs in there. And I was like, well, that's fair. I mean, a lot of those are stupid questions anyways. But stuff like erratas. So fast forward to right now. Some of the stuff that came out is errata. Some of the stuff isn't. Like, hey, we just changed the points on the new Executioner Primaris Repulsor. That is now 31 points more. It's 30 points base more, 1 point for like the Iron Hail Twin Link Stubber or something. So that went up in points, but all of the chapters can take it. You got Death Watch, Blood Angels, who else? Dark Angels. Is there anybody else? There's probably somebody I'm forgetting. If I forgot your chapter,
that's all
I apologize. So that is like an errata. So theoretically, when the new Space Marine book drops, spoiler alert, probably going to be previews this weekend, that will probably already be in it. But if there was already an existing thing, that probably would have got errated, and your enhanced versions of the books would be updated.
So the Space Marine Repulsor went up 31 points.
Yep, 31 points, which I'm not even sure it was entirely playable to begin with. What do you think?
It wasn't.
Are we talking about this just stock Repulsor?
No, the Executioner.
Oh, the Executioner. That's the newer one, right? That's already kind of expensive.
Yeah. I think it went from 265 now, I believe. I think it went
from 290 something to 334.
Wait, isn't the lowest price knight 325?
Yes.
It's more than a knight.
Isn't the Leviathan Dreadnought 303 points?
I would say that there's a lot of things wrong with this line of comparison. First off, there's lots of things in Forge World that we take because the points are wrong. But there's many more things in Forge World that are just terrible, right? So anything we talk about that is in the meta that is a Forge World unit, we take it because the points are wrong. The other thing shows exactly how GW values a tank like that now. Like if it's GW making the rules. What is the current tank that's really similar to that's been getting a lot of play right now?
210.1 for the Custodes.
The Caladius.
Yes.
Except the Caladius does its role perfectly and doesn't have a bunch of superfluous bullshit tacked onto it. And the Executioner is still like a troop transport for some reason and has all of these guns that you don't need and is like 100 points overcosted.
You can begin to break it down though by like how many points those guns are worth and how many points flying works and stuff like that. You can start to see exactly at its basement price pre this what they thought it was. Like this is what a troop transport bonus cost, this is what these extra guns cost, etc. But like the Custodes has other things, like it hits on fucking 2s. It has a 5-up invulnerable. You -2 to charge. Like it has a lot of rules. So you're starting to see exactly what GW themselves, how they point units like that versus how Forge World traditionally does it. Sometimes Forge World gets it right on the money, sometimes they don't, but now that it's really active in the scene and they're getting their own FAQs and everything, that's why the Caladius is in beta, right? Now a lot of people are like, beta, I don't like playing beta rules. Like, well, that's just them saying beta. Like, forget that. It's not beta. Nothing's beta. This isn't a video game. These are rules. And we're playing them. And then if they're wrong, they're going to fix it. Almost everything has been fixed. So that's what I see when I see this. I see, okay, give me exact point breakdown. This is what this kind of tank is worth. This is what they value a fly keyword at. This type of gun. This type of ballistic skill. If you don't think your Caladius is going to be 250 or more points, like I think it's going to be every bit of 250, 260 here soon, minimum for hit on 2s and a vulnerable -2 to charge with that level of firepower. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing like the Caladius finalized rules in this FAQ.
I don't disagree with you. I've been saying it's worth 250 for a long time. Because I was like, well, look at tank commanders. Like this is 100 times better than tank commander. How is it 210? I'll take it. I'll take 3. Give me 3. And I finally get them painted and everybody's running them. And I'm like, dang it, I'm that guy now.
GW just gave the black market a raise again.
But the thing I don't agree with, Kenny, is the fact that you just don't take 3 Caladiuses. You take a Vexilla. You take Valoris. You take... Or I guess you could just take a shield captain and just park them there, but it's not as effective. So you're running a G in points.
The list I played in round 6 of Slaughterfest, which we'll get to soon. Triple Caladius, what are they called? The mini Caladius?
Palace. Grav attack.
3 of those, 3 Caladius, 2 Telemons, Trajan, Vexillum, and a shield captain.
I mean,
I
don't see a problem with that list.
It's really good. It's just the wrong points. That list.
Even if it is the wrong points, even if it's 50 points more for those tanks, who cares? You're still going to see them.
No,
yeah, because they're just.
But I'm not going to see. I'm not going to see 3 though. That's my point. Is like you have to make other decisions. Like it's things.
I think you will.
Now you're going to take 3 of the speeders, and people are going to bitch about the speeders being 100 points because at 100 points, they're exactly half of a tank.
Those need to get fixed too. At 100 points,
yeah, they do.
They
wrong.
really
do.
People look at them wrong, like they're like, oh, it's only strength 7. I was like, but it's strength 7. It hits on 2s. It rerolls all wounds innately against vehicles. It is a flat 3 damage, and it's 100 points.
Yeah.
Bruh. That thing is doing work. So not that I don't want custodians to have dope ass toys and everything, but this is where I really have problems. It's like anytime a vehicle like this comes out and it has the fly keyword, this is where I think they're messing up on with their points. Like not necessarily the gun, not necessarily how many wounds it has, but like I don't know if GW innately understands, or maybe Forge World specifically. GW seems to understand. I don't know if they understand innately like how powerful all that is plus fly keyword. Because I don't know how they play the game, but the way we play the game is that tank can sit on top of a building and just shoot you.
Oh, yeah. I 100% did that recently. I was like, well, this base can fit on top of this ruined building because it's flat enough and there's a corner, and now it can shoot.
Yeah.
I can only fit 1 up there, but yeah, that's real.
So that Executioner, some people thought it was okay, but mostly I don't think anyone really cared about it. So this FAQ just means nobody really gives a shit about it, right?
It all depends. It could fill a role because as far as like firepower is concerned, it does have better firepower than a normal repulsor. And there has been a popular list going around where you have Gilliman with the 3 Predators and the 2 Repulsors, and you could very easily slot these 2 new Executioners in there to replace those Repulsors, and it's even more optimal. You'd have to switch a little bit of points around, but it was negligible. But now at like 330 points for the math of what this thing does, it's just terrible. And honestly, sometimes I just don't think Games Workshop knows what the fuck they're doing. And I'm gonna refer back to the Orc release when they released all these brand new models that were like super fucking cool with the buggies, and they just had no fucking clue on how to point cost them correctly for what they actually do on the table. Regardless of the context of which you're playing it, be it a casual game or a competitive game, the rules for those buggies are awful. Yep. Like they're terrible.
We've talked about it for years in this podcast. GW has an archaic ass flowchart in their back office that has points assigned to certain attributes that has not been updated in 10 years. And it is still being used to this day with many releases.
Yeah. Now, in a context of what we usually talk about, where we're talking about a higher level of play, any vehicle, even with the fly keyword, that doesn't have an invul save in a world where Knights exist and where Eldar Flyers and these Caladius tanks exist, they're just straight up unusable unless you can put a lot of them on the table. A Lehman Russ doesn't have an invul save, but you can take like 12 of those in a 2,000 point list. You know, like the reason that this thing sucks is that you could make it the exact same point cost with all the superfluous stuff and put troops in it and all that stuff. If you gave it a 5-up invul save, it would actually be good. But it hits on 3s, it has no invul save, and it's 334 points, where in a codex like Space Marines, there's just so many, like you could take 2 Sikaran Venator tank destroyers that have better math filling an anti-tank role than this thing does. And it's being promoted as an anti-tank vehicle.
I mean, I think the Knights analogy Rob threw out was a great one. GW and also your buggies analogy. Let's like when we were comparing buggies initially to like a Ravager with 3 disintegrator cannons for Dark Eldar. Why is one of these vastly superior to the other? Like, but GW doesn't look at things that already exist in the game to figure out points. What else was in the Orc release that was really good for its points that looked a lot like a buggy but was an HQ choice? Right? Deathkiller Wartrike. Deathkiller Wartrike is amazing. And so when you see how much power it has and what it does and what its points are, and every time you look at what, so they don't even do that. They won't even compare within a dex. They won't compare across decks. I think that's a big issue with their game design right now, that luckily they've been FAQing things so they can hear the community outrage. this is a bad FAQ, GW. That tank does not need to be that expensive. Or as Wyatt said, maybe if it had a 5-up invulnerable, maybe don't.
Other people have brought up the point that with a new supplement coming out, with the rumor of a White Scars and like an Ultramarine supplement, or just an updated codex for the Space Marines, we might see chapter tactics be put on vehicles. And to that, I say, what help does having a chapter tactic for this tank do against people shooting it with las cannons and fire prisms and star cannons and volcano cannons and all that other stuff? Like, what justifies that point cost just because it has the ability to fall back and shoot at -1? Like, nothing.
It's not going to be able to fall back and shoot because it's going to be dead.
Yeah, it only has 16 wounds.
Yeah,
and
I love how you throw out Ultramarines as your comparison innately.
That's
which is the most useless possible thing for it, since it already has the fly keyword. It's like,
well, also the reason I usually say Ultramarines is because like the only way that Space Marines out of Codex Space Marines are competitive is if you have our Lord and Savior Robbie Gibbon on the table, and like the whole Codex is really balanced around him. And I was talking about this with somebody earlier today, where because there's a rumor of this Ultramarine supplement book, what if they take Gilliman out of Codex Space Marines and put him in this Ultramarines book and then rebalance Codex Space Marines around him not being able to be in that list? Then that opens up a whole other level of possibilities. But I still don't think this tank having any kind of chapter tactic makes it worth 330 points. Like, it's just not.
They're changing some of the rules too, because we saw that with that sergeant, that Primera Special Edition sergeant that had the Angels of Death rule instead of They Shall Know No Fear. Yes. Something is coming for sure.
Yeah, but I don't think they're just all of a sudden going to give this tank an invul save.
It's vastly unlikely that they're going to modify the rules any further.
They just did it. They're not going to do it again. So this is what it's in the book.
It is likely this tank sucks in this DOA right now. Like,
so. One FAQ that was kind of good was for the Chaos Knights. Let me bring that up real quick. So remember that Diabolic Rift? Because there was a little combo you could do where like you just spitting out. You'd have to be within 12, but you'd just be spitting out mortals. So they changed it to where if an enemy model is within 12 of an Infernal Knight household model, that enemy suffers perils of the warp on any dice roll that includes a double instead of double ones.
It was worded poorly in the codex where it didn't quite say what you knew it meant to say. That's all the FAQ really covers is just some wording things, right? Like some dumb questions. I think the other one is Inferno Warp Surge, right? They were like, does it count for all the weapons of the same type? Because even though you said it only counts for a single weapon type, or a weapon, and there people trying to interpret it as like, well, if it's 2 Gatlins, it's the same weapon. I could do both. They're like, no, you can't.
Like, why are you asking me stupid shit? That's all right though. So we did a big breakdown on the Forge Old Knight changes. I think I forgot the 2 like AdMech ones, the Mangara and the whatever Steerex or something. Like, sorry if they're your thing. I can't tell you about your thing, but you probably already know about your thing. But for the rest of the knights, let's run it down real quick. So first off, any knight that got like hey, let me get some like wounds back, that's all gone. And there was a couple of them that had that. So no more getting wounds back on a 5-up. I think points, they all stayed the same. Cerastus Knights can no longer do that 2d6 advance thing, which was kind of cool. But I mean, is it really that cool?
Now that they gave them the same keywords, right? Now they count as in front.
Oh well, sure. For Chaos, you can do Questor Traitorous, yes,
and they get households and everything.
Yeah, they get Inferno households.
The second you have a 2d6 advanced guy and full tilt, they don't want you to have that.
That's true. I forgot about that for Chaos. That could have been.
Well, I mean, like both of them have it. It's just that Chaos has like multiple abilities to increase their movement and their advanced range.
Yeah,
and plus full tilt, and plus 2d6 charge. Like GW is this like real fear and unjustified. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. They unjustifiably overvalue the power of a first turn charge in a game where it's a shooting game still, and bullets have unlimited range in many situations. So they really don't like first turn charges, right? That's why they changed all the deep striking mechanics. Nothing can happen on turn 1 for the most part. They just don't like it. It's always been a feel bad in the game, even though with a couple bubble wraps absorbing a charge is no different than getting shot by 700 bullets on turn 1. It's the same shit. So if you can't defend against the 700 bullets, you're not going to defend against the charge. You're going to lose anyway. So they don't like it. So that's a no-brainer. They weren't going to like that.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that complete point. So that makes sense. The Lancer saw its shock profile change from double strength to no, excuse me, that's what it was. It was changing melee to a double strength bonus on a charge to 16 with 8 damage at the normal -4 attack, -4 AP. So now it's strength 16, 8 damage, -4. So if you can keep him moving around, hey, that's good, because he will smash into things. The Atropos lost its 4-up invul, which I don't know. Do you think is that a game breaker? Because I mean, I guess you could rotate, and then it was down to a 3. Maybe they didn't want that. Hard to weigh.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, you can't rotate to a 3. Period. It came stock with a 4-up invulnerable period or 4-up
for shooting.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a relic that does that. There's rotate ion shields. I think they're just trying to streamline it.
Yeah, that could be it. It's really, really hard to say. They changed the Graviton Singularity to be a little bit more predictable. I think it was like I forget what it was. It was random. This one I actually like more. So it's got the heavy 4, strength 8, -3, 3 damage. Or you can do the Singularity, which is a 36-inch D6 strength +4, but that's many shots. It's strength 14, -4, 3 damage. But you could take D3 wounds on a 1 or a 3 when you shoot. So
strange.
If you roll that, you don't like it?
I mean, it's strange. It's whatever.
Oh yeah, it's strange, sure, but that's Mechanicus stuff. It doesn't have the bonus against building keyword, or who cares? The Acheron, I think, is probably the biggest. Or no, not the Acheron. That actually lost its -1 to hit, which is kind of cool with its chain fist. So it's no longer like a Thunderhammer kind of thing. So it's just hitting on stock. The Castigator was probably the big winner, because not only did it gained 2 more shots to its bolt cannon, but its Warblade is it's pretty beefy now. Let's see. So it's make 2 hit rolls with each attack made with this weapon instead of 1. Strength +6. So I want to say, I actually don't know the base profile. I want to say it's strength 14. I have to double check that. -3, 3 damage. So, I mean, it lost 2 damage. It went from 5 damage to 3 damage, but it's got 8 attacks at strength 14 and 2 extra shots to the Gatler, which is now 16, strength 6, -2, 2 damage.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. A lot of people might be sitting on these.
Go up in points.
I mean, a lot of people are playing the Imperial versions of some of these knights, so Chaos Knights are going to be unprecedented popularity, as already seen at Slaughterfest. It's Chaos, and now we have new rules, and expect to see all this shit in some configuration. People have been collecting this shit for years, and now they're going to play them. Now that they have rules.
The Acastus Knights, which is the Porphyrion, and the one coming out with the Super Sea Beamers. Actually, I don't think that's actually out yet. But either way, they went down to toughness 8. And I don't know. They don't hit as easy anymore. They went from weapon skill 3 to ballistic skill 2 to weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 3. Like, oof. Yikes. I don't know.
Yuck.
That's some heavy nerfing right there for the points they are. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, you didn't see a lot of Porphyrions on the table to begin with, but It was nice to see at least one every now and then. Now him and the Executioner Repulsor are just going to be chilling in everybody's closet, I guess.
Yep. He'll be chilling right by him. Right by
yeah, he's like, just hover behind me. I got you, dog.
I'll show you my Porphyrion over here. What's that behind it? That's the Executioner. Don't worry about it.
And then all the dreadnoughts for like everybody's dreadnought collection. Everybody's got like 10, just like surrounding them.
The old boxy boys that nobody takes anymore.
Yep.
Press F to pay respects.
Oh, it's so sad.
It sucks because like the Executioner and the Repulsor, like as a model, really cool. Like for a tank model, it's fucking dope. Like I'm putting one together right now just because like I think it's cool looking and I want to paint one, but it'll never see the table. Like it's so bad.
Agreed. And last, but certainly not least, are the new little Forge World Knights. They're basically free in Forge World money. That's $60 US for one. They come with 2 different weapon options. You can get the lightning locks or a graviton or rad cleaner and Morax siege claw, I think it is. Let me read this. Morax, rad cleaner, Volkite, Vanglaive, and siege claw. Okay, well, either way, the one I think everybody's going to be keen on is the lightning lock. That's 36-inch range, heavy 6, strength 6, -2, 1 damage, and it explodes. So if you roll a 6, an unmodified hit roll of a 6, the weapon scores 2 additional hits on the target, and you can have 12 shots with those at 36. And the points are very affordable at 155.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It doesn't do like a mortal wound on 6s too or something?
That might be, let's see, that might be the other one, which
the
is
Volkite weapon. The Volkite,
Volkite
whatever it is. I can't remember the second word.
A Velenglare, I don't know. It's heavy 5, same strength. It's neg 1, 2 damage instead of neg 2, 1 damage. But yes, every unmodified wound does the mortal.
Yeah, these are pretty cool. I think they're going to be
in
popular.
addition to normal.
These might be popular.
Let's see. That one, you can have 2 of those. I think you just swap them out, to be honest. So I think that's 150 actually.
Yeah, they're cheap. They're cheaper than the War Dog with autocannons, which is the go-to right now.
I also have a conversion beamer that you can move and shoot, which is pretty neato.
They're pretty good. I'm not swapping mine out. I love the 3 damage autocannon, but I can see play for all these.
Well, it's got longer range.
Yeah,
the autocannon.
In my particular list, it's not necessary, but I do think these are good. I think these are very good.
I can see where people are going to buy these.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they look cool.
They do.
They seem reasonably priced, and they got dope rules. It's like the trifecta for any model out there.
Absolutely. There's nothing. I can't say anything bad about these.
Mm-mm.
These are sick.
So those will actually be, if you pre-ordered them last week, they'll be shipping out this week from Forge World.
Ballin'. Oh, looks like the black market got another raise. I mean, shit, if they're $60 at Forge World, I mean, I have no idea. I mean, the black market, they're basically just buy 2, get 1 free, probably.
No comment.
I mean, you want me to look it up? Because I can, in fact, do that.
Yes, please. And while he's doing that, we'll slide over to
market.
We'll slide over to Slaughterfest.
Yep.
And guys, we came back from Slaughterfest. We talked about it, promoted it here on the show for the last few weeks. Slaughterfest 2019. We talked about it at the top of the show. Big shout out to Veteran Gamers Relisted and Enigma Hobbies putting on a great show. 100-man GT out here in Southern California. Pachanga Casino and Resort. It was a blast. Your boy brought his new Chaos list, Chaos Knights. Double despoiler, 1 with double rapid fire battle cannons, 1 with double Gatling cannons, 1 Chaos War Dog with auto cannons. We had a Supreme Command detachment attached to all that with Red Corsairs, triple Lord Discordant right there, getting us the extra CP. Of course, we ran another battalion with Dirty Mike and the boys, aka 15 Chaos Space Marines, and a Warpsmith with a Sorcerer. The Sorcerer was Slanesh. He had Delightful Agonies and Warp Time. The 3 Lord Discordants were marked Slanesh so they can take advantage of a Delightful Agony in a clutch situation. We ran an Iconoclast, used things like Vow of the Beastslayer, Vow of Carnage, Helm of the I Don't Care About Modifiers, Coronate Charge made an appearance, or Coronate Target made an appearance in a couple of our games. Once we even used Vow of Domination to mitigate those Telemons winning us on 3s. I mean, we used the 4+ Invulnerable Relic. I mean, we definitely were able to move the list around. And when I say we, I mean me and the Tactics class that I'm a part of, Next Level Tactics. We did 2 weeks of discussions together on the Tactics page. And I said it kind of jokingly during the webcast. My Tactics class are not really classes. They're more like we're just talking about what list I'm going to play. And everyone gives me advice while I try to answer questions. And so big shout out to the class. I feel like our discussions really helped me go 5-1, placing 6th at Slaughterfest. Highlights were in this order. We played a Deathwatch army, piloted by Lou. That's a bad matchup for Deathwatch any day of the week. We played, and I'll go through the details of them after Wyatt. We played that. We played, right after that, we played against an Eldar army, piloted by Nick, another great guy. We played that on stream. Right after that, we played against Necrons, played by a really solid Necron opponent. He was incredible. We played Eldar Flyers, my man Brian. We played a crazy Plague Bearer control list. I think it's a clone of TJ Lanigan's list, who's number 2 in the ITC score right now, piloted by another guy named Chris. Amazing. And we finished off the event playing another guy named Chris Cole from Dice Hammer, rocking the Triple Caladius list. We had some serious fights this weekend, and we did real well. I'm going to let Wyatt tell you about how he did this weekend with his list, because he came out to Southern California too, before I give you my long-winded explanation.
I did. I was at Slaughterfest. It was a great event. Went out there with this Ultramarines list that I helped workshop, or Alan Marshall helped workshop, and it did really well. Like, I went in there with a goal, and that goal was accomplished, so I felt really happy. It's 5 Dreadnoughts. I have 2 Redemptors, 2 Relic Contemptors with las cannons, and a Leviathan with Storm Cannon arrays. Bobby G is on the table. I also have Chief Librarian Tigerius, squad of Intercessors, 2 Scout Sniper squads, and 2 squads of Eliminators, and a Smash Captain using the Vigilus detachment for the Vitrix Guard for that super cool always fight first if you were charged or heroically intervene stratagem. That's really, really cool. Round 1 was against Tau. He had triple Riptides, a bunch of broadsides, basically like a billion smart missile shots.
It's a pretty meta list right now. Overwatch +1, billions of Savior Protocol drones. Really hard to grind through them all to get to the Riptides.
Oh yeah, like it was a good list, and that type of list just so happens to be a pretty hard counter to what I play. The beauty of this list is that basically you can walk into most situations and not really care what you're fighting, just because it does well in almost every matchup. But the Tau that this guy was playing is one of those rare occurrences that I was countered really hard. I kept it a pretty close game. He was a smart Tau player. He kept his drones out of line of sight, so I could only ever shoot at the Riptides.
So dirty.
But I will say I got a super clutch bait and switch on him where Gilliman took a nap and he thought he was going to roll up on Tigerius, and he wasn't going to charge him. He was like setting up for a shooting turn on his next turn, and he was banking that Gilliman didn't get up. And of course he did. And of course he got 6 wounds. And in my psychic phase, I got null zone off. So took away all of the invul saves of his drones and his Riptide and just completely deleted that dude off the table. But he ended up winning just because he was able to trade wounds better than I was. Going into round 2, we played a very meta 100% Custodes list. He had the Caladiuses. He had the Telemon Dreadnought. He had some Vertex Praetors, had the Shield Captain, all that good stuff. And he fell into the trap of kind of playing passively against my army, which is something that you can bait people into doing. He focused on stuff like the Redemptor Dreadnought, which I think is like this generation's or this edition's Distraction Carnifex. It's a awesome looking model. It's bigger than any other Dreadnought model. It dwarfs the Leviathan in comparison. And if they don't know that a Redemptor is like really bad, they focus the Redemptor, and I'm like, oh, thank you for wasting your shooting phase shooting Redemptor dreadnoughts while I get in position to blast you with all these good dreadnoughts. So that game went super well. I again got Null Zone off in a super clutch combat, which again surprised me because Null Zone is such a bad power in and of itself. But in those moments where you can trick people into getting into a close combat situation and then pop Null Zone on them when Bobby G can get into combat, it's like they're done. Like he just takes out anything in the game, which is great. Round 3, I played a very meta Eldar vehicle spam list. He had the 3 fire prisms, the 3 night spinners, the 4 or 5 wave serpents. He had a Hemlock Wraith fighter and a couple of characters. And this is another one of those super meta lists where I was like, I don't know how it's going to go. I play tested against something very similar to this list. But luckily it was sort of a dog chasing a car sort of situation. Like he was a great dude, and I don't want to throw shade at him, but he was very inexperienced with this list, didn't really know how to pilot it. And so like I just dismantled that army over the period of about 4 turns, and it just anything that I could do that was going to go my way, it went my way. Because I had play tested against that type of list, I wasn't scared of it, and I kind of knew what to focus and things like that. And just some mistakes on his part, like in his first shooting phase, he fired all of his serpent shields off of his wave serpents, which is a definite no-no, especially when you're fighting stuff like Leviathan Dreadnought. You want to hang on to those serpent shields. And he shot all of his serpent shields trying to kill a Redemptor Dreadnought. And he did some wounds to it, but again, you wasted all this shooting on a Redemptor Dreadnought, so that was a mistake. Round 4, I go up again against another super meta army with Chaos Knights and Lord Discordants and all that stuff. And that was a pretty tough fight. He got a first turn charge off with his Quicksilver thing of Slanesh. What is that relic called, Kenny?
Yeah, it's the Inferno combo, right? He's moving faster. He's got there's a Warlord trait and a relic. The Slanesh one lets you move an extra inch, fight first. The Warlord trait lets you move an extra inch and advance an extra inch, and then the Warp Surge lets you move 2 extra inches, and then they advance in full tilt. So that's the combo.
Right. And he like always fights first, unless something else. Yeah.
Unless
so
you charge him.
Right. And he fell for the stratagem trap that I laid. I put the captain around a corner where he could heroically intervene next to my Leviathan Dreadnought and fight first, and all that good stuff. So it didn't really go his way. And through some good tactics on my part, I was able to pull out a win in that match. Round 5 was really weird. So I looked at this guy's list, and it was mono build Space Wolves. He had a Fellblade, which is a 1,027 point super heavy tank. Totally, it is an absolute beast. Yeah, and some people like this list. It's actually pretty cool because the Space Wolves can buff it in a lot of different ways. And they also have things like they can play a stratagem where that shooting unit ignores all negative modifiers. So he can just look at an Eldar flyer and it just dies, you know. Super cool dude. His name was Ryan. If you're listening, shout out to Ryan. Really fun. And he looked at my list and I looked at his list and we talked about it. And I was like, so if I get the deployment I want and I go first, I'm pretty much going to win. And he was like, yep. And if I get the deployment I want and I go first, I'm going to win. I was like, yep. So we rolled for deployment and it was hammer and anvil. And I said, well, this is probably going to end up in your favor. Let's see what happens. And it did. He absolutely destroyed all of my dreadnoughts by turn 3. And I had Gilliman and Tigurius hiding behind a magic box building. And I was like, I'm just going to sit here and hold for the rest of the game. So if you want to score it out, we can. And he's like, yep. So didn't really, I had no like negative feelings about that game because it's just one of those situations where you get countered so hard based on the deployment type and who's going to go first that I I knew going into it that it was like a 50-50 chance that I was going to lose or I was going to win.
It's actually like less, right? Like, cause against him right out the gate, if you're playing, Vanguard, if you're playing the quarters deployment, or you're playing Hammer and Anvil, or even Pointy Hammer and Anvil, in all of those 4 deployment maps, he is easily able to outrange certain elements of your army. I mean, like, in Hammer and Anvil is a really bad one, but like you can actually be further away in the Vanguard deployment. So it's like he's got a lot of deployment advantage over you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You needed a like kind of a 2 out of 6 outcome on the random deployment map to begin your 50-50 chance of going first. So you were at a massive disadvantage from jump.
The way that his army worked is he needed to put pretty much everything else he had in some kind of terrain, and he didn't have a lot of drops. Like I think he had 3 less drops than I had. So I was always going to be able to figure out where he was going to castle the tank before I deployed Bobby G and the Dreadnoughts. But you are right. Like deployment was incredibly important at that because of the range at which he could engage. And then I would have to, kind of walk towards that thing for a couple of turns, not having my full shooting. And then last game was against another fairly meta Chaos Knight list with Mortarion, 3 Knights, Lord Discordant, and a War Dog, a bunch of cultists.
2 Knights.
Oh yeah, 2 Knights. 2 Knights and
for anybody out there listening, that's not enough. There's too many points.
Yeah, sorry, I said 3 instead of 2, but yeah, so we had like Morty, which is he's better than a Knight.
That's a popular list. Morty double Knight is a popular list. 100%.
That game at the very end, I did get fairly upset by because of a game mechanic. First turn, he goes first. Morty moves. Morty gets warp time by his Demon Prince. He gets into close combat on a Redemptor Dreadnought. Almost kills it. I think he gets it down to like 1 wound or something like that. So it's pretty crap at that point. And then in my turn, of course, I do what my army does. I kill Mortarion. I kill his Shooting Knight, and do some wounds to the 3rd Knight. And then he charges in the 2nd Knight, fights the captain and Gilliman. The captain goes down, fights in death, gets him to like 2 wounds. The other attacks kill Gilliman because he used the Cornate target thing. So Gilliman took a nap, but because Gilliman is not removed from play when he takes a nap, the Knight and the Demon Prince were not able to consolidate into any other units. So on my turn, Gilliman gets back up. He gets that clutch 6 wounds. I put him like 2 inches away, kill the Demon Prince with Gilliman and the Redemptor, kill the Knight with some las cannons, and then the Knight explodes. And then he's like, all right, let's see what happens. Points to Gilliman and then rolls another 6 and kills Gilliman. And then points to my Eliminators and rolls another 6 and kills my Eliminators. Right. And then he points at my Intercessors and rolls like a 2. So because he killed the Eliminators, he got kill more for that turn. And because Gilliman went down due to that, that basically gimped me to the point where my offense was not going to be able to win the game. Otherwise, I would have won the game because he had a Lord Discordant with like almost no wounds left, a War Dog that had almost no wounds left, and 3 squads of cultists. So it would go to my turn after he basically couldn't kill anything with the offense that he had. And then I kill the Lord Discordant, I kill the War Dog, I run the table on those cultists and win. So because of that explosion and the ridiculous number of 6s he rolled on a single dice, he beat me by 2 points.
Oof.
Still a close game, but yeah. We talked about it a bit. As a mechanic, vehicles exploding has always been there, but I'm kind of with Wyatt on this now that he broke it down. I was like, how come I could take any invulnerable save against a volcano cannon to the face, but not against the vehicle exploding? So I kind of, after I heard him describe it like that, I was like, it'd be interesting if like vehicle explosions were like D6 auto wounds at -5 AP.
Exactly, because even a tough unit with like a 2-up armor save would still take those wounds. And I know that this has been a mechanic since the start of 8th edition. It's nothing new, but I have never had a situation that made me feel as like emotionally passionate about it until now, when it took me from going 4-2 and getting 25th place to going 3-3 and getting 50th place. And when a game where victory is taken away from you because of a single random dice roll, that's a really shitty game mechanic.
Yeah, like a truly random dice roll, not a. Yeah. I need a 3 to hit. That's different. We're talking about like 1 in 6 chance this happens.
And then another 1 in 6 chance, which is
1 in 36 to kill Gilliman, right back to back. Like yeah, I agree. I tend to agree with you on that now.
Yeah, and some people just say like we should just get rid of mortal wounds, and I don't think that. I think mortal wounds have a place in the game, and they make some interesting aspects of the game. But like Kenny said, I was talking about this, and it's like, why can I take an invul save against a las cannon or an auto cannon or a plasma gun or a direct hit by a fucking tomahawk missile or a volcano cannon? You know, like, why can I take an invul save against all of that, but a shitty little tank blows up and I got to take mortal wounds, or a knight blows up and I got to take mortal wounds? Like, that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that same knight was shooting me with his rapid fire battle cannon to the face.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cling, 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 cling.
Way more number of potential wounds from the twin rapid fire battle cannons or his giant thunderstrike gauntlet that I can take an invul save against. But if he explodes when he dies, I can't take invul saves. Like, it just, that aspect doesn't make sense with the rest of the way that the game works. So yeah, like, it's not going to get changed because it made me feel bad. But I think it should be changed.
Yeah. After we talked about it a lot today, and I tend to agree with that. I like it when things blow up and kill things, but I think it shouldn't kill, like, I don't think it should be tougher than the gun it was shooting me with, you know?
Yeah.
So why, at the end of the day, 3-3 in a super competitive world over here at Slaughterfest with a list he just put together and only play tested like 4 or 5 times. That's still a real good showing, even with that, when you factor that stuff in. And you did have takeaways from even that game, you said. So
yeah, I did. And I also, Enigma Hobbies brought up a point. I did win a prize for getting 50th place. So that made me feel a little good. I got dead center, got a prize for that. And I got runner-up best painted for my Rabute Gilliman model. So that also felt pretty good. And the SoCal meta, the SoCal region is probably one of, if not the most highest concentration of 40K talent in the United States. Would you agree, Kenny?
Oh yeah. I mean, just like anything, right? It's like coast and coast, like the East Coast guys right up in the metropolis areas are real hardcore, but they're spread out real far, right? And they got to all leave each other's states to play each other. Here, though, it's all concentrated to one massive region, and we see 60 of the 100 people in that room at every major tournament. So anytime you go to an event out here, it's a little bit more extreme, with barring a few examples out east. Like, there's
a lot of really good players there that didn't do as well as we initially thought they would. Like, anything can happen at those events with the amount of talent.
That gives me an opportunity to make fun of Don Husen.
Oh yeah,
I almost forgot.
I'll let you.
As we were walking out, and like I was like, "How'd you do?" He's like 3-3. He's like, "God damn it, Don Husen! I was just hyping you up to be the best Chaos Space Marine player. You're gonna hit me with
Did he drink again? What happened?
Don Husen doesn't drink, man. I don't see.
Yeah, he does.
Don Husen? I've never seen that.
Yeah, he literally said on his 2 events ago, he's like, I had a really poor showing because I kind of drank and kind of wasn't paying attention.
Oh, you mean at Gentleman's GT?
I think that was it.
Man, he brought fucking 3 Vindicators instead of his 3 Eldricks. That's why he lost. Don Husen, you can't trick me.
Y'all Sid Boost.
He's an amazing player. I'm just all teasing aside. He's the best Chaos Space Marine player, model faction right now. He's the one who invented the Purge list that everyone made. He's an amazing innovator, has an amazing tactics blog. And you outscored him. You placed higher than him, Wyatt.
I did.
So this is awesome. Going into the event, I'll keep my section quicker, as quick as I can. I have a lot to talk about. But Don and I had a similar thought process going to this event. He was rocking his 3 Daredevils and his 2 Knights and a War Dog. I'm running 2 Knights and a War Dog, 3 Lord D's. He was rocking Old Ahab, though, because the Old Ahab Iconoclast with Beast Slayer and Trail Destruction is nasty. Okay? He ran that, and I ran my version of it. With the Rapid Fire Battle Cannon guy and the Gatling guy, he ran the Gatling guy Old Ahab. I was like, well, cool. We're thinking the same, but like with subtle differences. The major differences is I'm still running Dirty Mike and the Boys. I'm still running that 16 sweet CP to start the game with. So I'm buying my Field Commander, buying my Soul Forge pack. That's a deal because like the Red Corsair Supreme Command paid for that. You know, buying my Vows, still sitting in double-digit CPs before the game. Picking up an extra relic, still double-digit CP before the game. So proof is in the pudding. My list did real well. I'll rewind. We played against the Deathwatch Army first, Rob. And I filmed all these guys, and I'll be putting these out as West Coast Guerrilla Battle Reports as soon as I can. First game, Deathwatch against Lou. It was amazing looking army. I think he won the Hobby Tracker last year.
Oh, Lou Rollins?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He has a gorgeous Deathwatch army.
Yo, beautiful. Mono faction. And Deathwatch Mono faction can win games. First off, don't get it twisted. He knows his rules. He knows what his list does. But that is a real bad matchup. It's a real bad matchup for him. He had all the normal usual suspects that a Deathwatch army has, with a couple exceptions. He had a Corvus floating around the list, which I don't think was a really necessary element, but he's playing Mono Deathwatch and he wants it for his display. But he had a really cool element. He had all his shooting squads plus a big ass assault squad, like dedicated close combat squad. Lots of storm shields, thunder hammers, and he was able to hop off the line and get it into a fight pretty quick. And it's real nasty. Kill the Lord D, whatever. But I was waiting for that while I was racking up my Vow of the Carnage extra attacks for my Gatlin Knight. I picked Cornate Target, which turns off the invulnerables once per game. So I ran him in once I got up to like 20 attacks. Ran him in on that unit and just decimated it. And then just kind of was easy cleanup from there. Massacre, like 37 points, 39 points, something like that. Then we slide into our second game versus Nick Card on stream. You guys can actually go on the YouTube channels and you can watch that game. Put it on my Next Level Painting page as Kenny with my name on it, or maybe it's Chaos Knights versus Eldar. You'll see the thumbnail is my knight. Really close game. I learned in that game that I was playing I learned that the Warp Surge table, the Warp Surge Dreadblade, I can't remember what it's called. It's the one that's like you roll a D3 before the game and you're affected by this buff for my Dreadblade. I thought that was like by turn, assuming you didn't fail the damnation. So I rolled it like every turn against him. 90% of the time I rolled 2 extra movement because the chart is skewed to give you that. And there was a moment in the game where that 14-inch movement got me to an objective. I won the game by 1 point. So I looked at that and I was like, shit, did I win this game? Because the only one that matters is the first one I would have rolled, right? Because that's the one I'm supposed to be locked to. So I went back in the video and went to the very first roll, and it was the 14-inch movement roll. So I was like, oh, thank God, because I was about to call these dudes up and be like, yo, give me a tie against Nick, you know? So we pulled that off by 1 point. Nobody caught it, though. I didn't get yellow carded or anything, but that's what yellow cards are for, is something like that. If the tournament organizer came over and saw you playing a roll wrong like that, you would have got yellow carded. But I didn't, and I made the correction because I read the chat afterwards, and I didn't make that mistake again. So that was a tight game against Nick Card. Shout out to the Dice Hammer crew. Played it on stream. Like I said, you can see that video. It was a good back and forth game. He went first. I had a bad turn 1, but still did work. A really unfortunate like turn 3 or 4 where I only scored 1 point because a bunch of things went wrong, but I came back in the last 2 turns and pulled it out. Then I lost to Necrons, guys. My one loss, 5-1, 6th place, lost to Necrons. Jason Dillon, really good Necro player, doesn't make mistakes. He was able to really use terrain to his advantage with his Doomsday Arcs, triple DDA, triple Doom Scythe, big ass Tomb Blade Squad, and a Triax Stalker. Working the everything hits on 2/0/1s, Tesla pops on 4s combo. I was able to do as much damage as I could from shooting. But eventually I got to a place where I couldn't get my Lord D's to do any more damage because of the way he was exploiting terrain rules with his Doomsday Arcs. And he was able to start creeping the score back in his favor, and he finished the game out 17-16. So he won, but it literally 16-17, a very low scoring game. So now I'm going into day 2 with a loss, 2-1. Pool, Brian, Bam Bam, playing 7 Eldar Flyers. This is where it gets good, guys. We've been working it on the tactics class, doing discussions. How does my night list work against some of these meta lists? We worked it out. I had plans. Played up against those Eldar Flyers. Went first. Dropped 2 Flyers instantly with the rapid fire battle cannon knight. Mark of or the I don't care about modifier helm and the Val Beastslayer. Just bow. Armiger and combined shots of the Armiger and the Gatling Knight drop an Eldar Flyer. Real quick, pow. Okay, your turn. We were able to launch some Lord D's across the table into combats because he wasn't able to get all his Wave Serpents like on top of buildings to protect them, so I was able to still get in a fight with a Wave Serpent, fuck it up. So we really racked it up turn 1. He comes back, puts his entire army into our Battle Cannon Knight, almost kills it. It's got like 2 wounds left. It moves up. It does as much damage as it can do. Just stands there, shoots. It has Inferno Quest, so it kind of like sneaks up to the middle of the table and gives me the bonus where I control or contest all 5 objectives or whatever it is. So I pulled out a 5-point turn 2. Then he blew up the knight. And then the Armiger, the War Dog, and the Gatling Knight just proceeded. And let me tell you, this is where it comes in clutch. Lord Discordant autocannons, Rob. A lot of people want Bale Flamers for the auto hits and the advances and everything. I like the cheapness and the practicality of a model that has ballistic skill 2 and an innate bubble of +1 to hit. Well, what do you think that means, Rob? That means you have a +1 ballistic skill. So Eldar Flyer's like, we're -1 to hit. It's like, cool, I still hit him on 2s.
Got him.
He's like, well, this one's -2 to hit. Cool. Hit it on 3s.
Oh,
So these 3 Lord Discordants just kept pouring on the wounds across the table to random Eldar Flyers, while my Ormiger just started shutting down the 2 Dark Eldar Flyers. He just shut them down. And the Gatling Knight just kept putting shots where he needed to shoot. Going into the last turn, he had no Flyers left and like 2 Night Spinners and a Wave Serpent. And we pulled out like a 37-point victory against the 7 Eldar Flyers. Then we play the TJ Lanigan clone list piloted by, I think, Chris Nelson is his name. Running 60 Plague Bears, 30 Pink Whores, Blightlord Terminators, 3 Demon Princes with Armon. The works. You know what I'm saying? It's that list. We go first again. It's super Vanguard Strike. We're super far away from each other. He puts all his screens in the gun line. I put the Lord D's in the gun line. My Knights kind of take the flanks. This is the perfect vision of the army, Wyatt, that we talked about in the tactics class together, where I'm like, I'm going to send these dudes up to cut. Knights are going to sweep. Worked perfectly. We were able to get 2 Lord D's in the assault turn 1 on that 24-inch gun line. We warped time 1, and the other one just rolled a natural 6 on his advance. Made that charge. Poured all of our shots into the first screen. Charged them. Dragged the other squad in. Killed the first 30 Plague Bears. Goes to him, right? And let me go back. We pick Coordinate Target and Carnage on the Gatling Knight. Ignore modifiers. No beast, no other vow on the Rapid Fire Battle Cannon Knight. He pours it on, does what he can. He's afraid because if he loses these 30 Plague Bears that I touched with the other Lord D, if anything passes the Plague Bear line, the Knights can shoot it. So like as much as he wants to jump every Demon Prince over the line, and even like the Blight Lords to interact with these 2 Lord Ds, by doing so, I can shoot them now. And because the Blight Lords have the Cloud of Flies stratagem, so I can't shoot them if they're not the closest. So he has to sit there and be like, damn, I got to wait for my Pink Cores to come in because he put them in Denizens of the Warp. Now he realized it was a mistake against my list. So he actually didn't kill any of the Lord Discordants. He hurt them, but I put, Delightful Agonies in the one he really wanted to kill, kept them in the game. One of them had like 2 wounds left, brought a wound back. started again, cleared the other 30 plague bears, advanced a little bit. Cool. Now we've killed all 60 plague bears. He brings in his pink horse, does some really impressive maneuvering to get around the table and take objectives, try to charge some guys. Still blockading all his characters. I still can't get guns on him, but I was able to sweep the rapid fire battle cannon guy around the corner, get eyes on characters, just jack characters up, get into a fight, finish dudes off. Then finally I made it to the Blight Lord Terminators after finishing the pink horse off, coronate target. And this is where it gets funny because he had just played the Inferno matchup, right? So he didn't know Iconoclast in combat gets the extra attack and -1 to AP. So he's like, who cares? I still have I'm a 2-up save, still a 4-up save. I was like, nah, Iconoclast, -3. Got in there with my sweet 24 attacks from Vow of Carnage. Aced all the Blight Lord Terminators. Gave him the Knight, but then the Battle Cannon Knight just kind of backed up and killed every Demon Prince in his army.
I actually witnessed that exact play of the game when I rolled up and I was like, ooh, how's this going? And you were like, I'm about to ace all these Terminators.
Yep.
Wow.
Like nothing worse. And then we finished the tournament off, guys, against that triple Caladius list, piloted by Chris Cole from Dice Hammer. An amazing player. He made it all the way to the final round, doing really well. He went first, which is what he knew he had to do. Took out a Knight, was feeling really good, but we were able to get the Lord D's in the combats. We were able to put Gatling. He killed the Warlord Knight. See, he didn't go after the rapid fire battle cannon Knight. I always make the other one the Warlord and put all the tricks on him, and so he took him out. So I still had the rapid fire battle cannon going into turn 2. We shut down 2 Caladiuses and one of the mini Caladiuses. So we were already up. We're already 4-point turn 1. And he's like, shit. Like, I just took out a Knight, but you're already up in the scorecard, right? He makes the plays he can. I dragged the Telemon into a fight, so now one of his Telemans can't shoot. He pours every bullet he can into because now he's like, fuck, these are a problem, these Lord Discordant. So he starts shooting the one Lord Discordant that's in his backfield, but has a 5 feel no pain. So he kills it, but it took all the bullets. And he's like, I did not expect it to take that many shots. So my other 2 Lord Ds press forward. The Battle Cannon Knight does what it do, drops another Caladius. We bring one down to 1 wound, kill one of the palace things, the mini Caladius is in combat. Then we Spirit Thief, shoot the beam into the Caladius, blow it up. So we kill another 3 of his tanks. He's out of tanks. All he has is Telemons. Right? So he's able to finish my Knight off only after I come across the table, stand on his objective with Inferno Quest, take it from him, get the 5-point bonus on that turn. He finishes my Knight off. So now the whole army is destroyed. I have no Lord Ds, no Knights. It's just Dirty Mike and the boys taking Engineer for the next 2 turns while his 2 Telemons are walking around trying to do something. We win that game 30-24 or something like that.
Engineers is such a clutch secondary.
Yeah.
I maxed Engineers in every single one of my games because of the Eliminators. So if you're a Space Marine player, I highly recommend you look into getting at least 1 squad of Eliminators because it's guaranteed 4 points of Engineer. And they their offensive power isn't anything to write home about except for their high explosive rounds. So if you have 2 units, you can have both of them be nominated as Engineers, where one is always going to sit there and hide and not do anything. And the other one can peek around a corner and high X a character, or they can just sit in a building as a redundant unit of Engineers and pop the no line of sight Mortis rounds every turn.
Yeah. Building your army for secondaries is the number one thing. We built on our tactics group. We built my new list to get Engineers and Recon every turn. Those are 2 objectives that have nothing to do with me killing my opponent. They're just maneuvering and objective and objective placement. So every game, all 6 of my games, we max Recon and Engineers. And then the third objective was just sprinkled to taste. What looks good out here, So if you have any questions about either one of our lists, I posted my list on my Next Level Painting page, and I'm sure Wyatt will post his on his page. You guys can take a look at these lists, ask us more questions throughout the week. That was a lot of talk, and I know not everybody's interested in the final competitive side of the podcast. If you stayed with us this long, I truly appreciate it. I'm slinging it back over to Rob.
I don't even know why you gave it to me. Haspil, take us out of here.
So in summation, what you have before you is a troop transport that can't carry any troops, a reconnaissance vehicle that's too conspicuous to do reconnaissance, and a quasi tank that has less armor than a snowblower, but carries enough ammo to take out half of DC. This is what we're building?